It did impact the play. The ball was, well, yeah, the ball was, he was the intended target, but it was an uncatchable ball regardless. That throw could not have been caught. The contact happened well prior to like 3 or 4 yards. It wasn't even like 5 yards out. That light contact did not stop him from getting to that ball because it was uncatchable. That had no effect on that play. It should not have been called. Because that call ends the game. And it ruins the game. They had been letting that contact ride all night. There is no reason to call it at the very end in the most crucial moment. Thanks to the gift sub Dino and the resub Gus Bus Osty Twisted and the bits Mario Swavey and the resub Sneggy and Wheels and Poor. Agreed, Alvin. Thanks to the bits Mario and Sylvie. I saw the Bradbury interview quote. Again, that doesn't change the core. That had been riding all night. He had every right to believe that it would slide, since that contact was fine all night until the very end, and it did not influence that play. It was not a necessary call, and it's a call that ends the game immediately. It's a worthless call that decides the outcome of the game. It should always be the players that win or lose a game, not the ref. It's just very simple to wrap your head around. Pass interference is what prevents the receiver from catching, not a hold. Are you okay? How? It's midnight. There's no way that you're a young boy. You have to be an adult. What are you not understanding? If that holding had an effect on the play, then it would be a necessary call. It did not have an effect on the play, thus it did not need to be called. It hadn't been called all night. It's a worthless call that ends the game, and the refs win it for the fucking Chiefs. No one wants to see the fucking Super Bowl end on a ref penalty. And since they had let that exact contact slide all night throughout the entire game, I don't think there was a single defensive holding on a receiver called up until that one, when that exact same contact had been happening all fucking game. There was no reason to start it there when it didn't change the outcome of that play. It's just super simple. Thanks to 5 gift sub and the resub Akio, Decinius, Wonder, Sonic, and Smooth, and the tier 1 Austin and the Prime Cat. The bits Dong, Bang, and Mario. Defensive holding is supposed to be called. Saying the refs shouldn't be calling actual calls, then complaining the refs aren't calling calls is a hypocritical argument. I don't know how to make it any clearer. Then what they should do is go back through the game and call every single other instance throughout the entire game and redo the whole game. Because if all of them should be called, then there was at least 10 other instances of that exact contact that they need to go back to. But do you know why they weren't called? Because all of that was negligible, including the last one, because it didn't impact the play, thus they had let it ride all night. until the end. A Super Bowl, any game really, should not end because of a penalty unless it is an absolutely egregious one that did have an effect on the play. For example, if it was pass interference, that needs to be called. Something like that. But that wasn't what happened there. There's a resub Salty in Tier 1 Cunningham. And they give sub Potato in the resub Paracon in Tier 1 Goodnight. And the resub Rudy. And the resub Gato Dio. And Vex and the gift sub Knack. Comes down to matter of opinion, there isn't anything we can do. Well, of course there's not anything we can do. But it's still the worst possible ending to an otherwise amazing game. He's ignoring all the good points being made. There are no good points. You just keep saying, rules are rules. You sound like a fucking hall monitor. Like, it's not good points you're making. Jesus Christ. All night, that same contact was fine. They didn't call defensive holding on any other cornerbacks for the same level of contact until the very end of the game. It didn't need to be called since they had already set the precedent the entire game that it wasn't being called with that level of contact. It was stupid to end the game on that. Holy shit. It's that simple. He admitted it was holding, man. That's not even what we're talking about! Jesus Christ. Every other instance of that same level of contact was let slide. Which is why if you finish the quote, he said, was hoping they'd let it slide. Because they had all night. Jesus. There was no reason to all of a sudden bring down the Iron Fist on the last, most crucial play. What other holds are you referencing? Exactly, none, because they weren't calling it. Which is why he said was hoping he'd let it slide, I imagine. Because all night, they had. Like, Christ. It wasn't an egregious hold. It was very, very light and arguably a hold. The player admitting it I put no stock in because of how cutthroat the NFL and general sports are when you get outspoken. So him playing nice would make a lot of sense for his future career so he doesn't rock the boat. I don't put a lot of stock in that. You could still argue whether or not it's even a hold to begin with. Just because he says it doesn't mean it's 100% correct. He has very big incentive to just appease the commission. You lost money. I wish I had bet on it, actually. I felt really left out because everyone else was betting on it. What I lost was a great experience at the end. Because now everything is overshadowed by that ending, which fucking sucks. It's like Game of Thrones Season 8. Everything was amazing. Well, except Season 7. Most of it was amazing all the way up until the end. And then the worst possible ending. Classic Eagles fan. I do not like the Eagles. And I really don't like Eagles fans. All the ones that I've met in real life are actual assholes. I didn't have a horse in this race. I'm sure not every Eagles fan is an asshole, but all the ones I've met are very insufferable. There's the tier 1 sweaty, the tier 1 rough, and the prime, dark marrow, and the resub nautical, and grandma, and the bit snert and toe, and saint and atrocious. Yeah, it was a good game, Phallic. That game was fun. It's been a long time since I played that one. Nice scope. I'll have to check that out. Thanks to the resub giggle. And the resub D-man. Was there a nip slip at least? No, not this year. Thanks to the resub given. Thanks to the bits sock. And the resub Astro and Con. Thanks to tier 1 spicy. Charlie believing in conspiracies is wild. You talking about with refs being paid off? That's not even so much in relation to tonight. That's just in general. The officiating's been so unbelievably bad, I have no other explanation. It's really that no call against the Lakers recently that's convinced me there's got to be something going on underneath the table. I think there absolutely is financial incentive. Or, I guess if you want to do Occam's razor, there is absolutely no standards for ref and they can be as shitty as they want with no repercussions. Both are bad. There's the resub Rag, Skeleton, and the tier 1 Maximus. The bits Queen and George. Yeah, I saw the Flash trailer. And tier 1 scope. What do you think about the fumble TD called back? I don't know. That one's also really weird. That's a pretty tough call to argue as well, to be fair. But he didn't take any steps, so I could absolutely see it being incomplete. Just felt like he had possession for a decent chunk of time, but I couldn't say for sure. Here's the resub potato. And give sub Drew and bits snert. Was a fumble because he made a football move. You can argue those till the cows come home. But there is an inarguable stance that no game should be decided by a questionable penalty. I think that's just the max of it. Thanks to the resub reticent and the gift sub. Have a nice day. Thanks to the bits method. And the resub mega. I don't know, I guess I haven't paid too much attention to the Super Bowl logos. Is there any good commercials? No, just the Breaking Bad one, really. Thanks to resub Hoobie. And tier 1 Paul. And Bits Jotar. You seen Adin on Kick? Yeah, him and Train streamed the entire Super Bowl on Kick. Did Kick have like a license for it? Because that shit was baffling. They just streamed the entire game. No, they just run it. That's like a fucking felony. Like, I'd be sweating right now. It was through stake. I don't think that would be like a good enough excuse. There has to be something, like there had to be some kind of licensing agreement. There's no shot. He's a resub raging. Thanks to the bit snert. Yep, probably. I think there'll be any rule officiating changes made after this? No. Not at all, man. I don't think so. He's a tier 1 casual. Train says that it's Twitch that doesn't allow that stuff, so apparently streamers can stream any media on Kick. That couldn't be more wrong, especially with the NFL. The NFL is pretty cutthroat. Even when I used to buy Super Bowl DVDs that they used to do like a whole recap of a season, so they did one for like the Buccaneers when they won the Super Bowl in '02. Even on the DVDs, it's like any unauthorized rebroadcast of any NFL material is punishable by fucking whatever. Like extremely intimidating. They keep that shit on lockdown. I'm certain there had to be some kind of licensing deal with Kick. Like, you can't just rebroadcast professional sports. You can't even just rebroadcast a Fox TV show. Let alone their biggest show, the fucking Super Bowl. Thanks, resub Tidleon. You think Kick got a deal but not Twitch? I would be surprised, but I mean, it is backed by Stake, which has unlimited money, so I think it'd be possible, but I just doubt it. Yeah, Twitch does have the rights to Thursday Night Football. I remember that. Thanks to the Prime, Aleph, and Morlu. And yeah, I am chubby tomorrow. Steak had streaming rights, so probably. But where do you see that? Because I kept looking for that. I don't even know if I can type in Steak on Twitch here. I'll do it up here. I couldn't find anything about Steak having any kind of agreement with the NFL. So I don't know where people are getting that information. Because there's nothing about that. There's a Prime Cherry. They had a stream on Steak's website. That doesn't mean they had permission. That's exactly what we're talking about. Plus, let me double check. Who owns DraftKings? Okay, DraftKings is its own organization. NFL is literally partnered with DraftKings. Why the fuck would Stake, which is literally a competitor to DraftKings, somehow have the rights to broadcasting the Super Bowl? How would that work? There's a resub Zygonius. It's in the kick guidelines to not stream sports matches. Yeah, but those guidelines were copied from Twitch, so I don't put a lot of stock in that. I don't know if they enforce any of that. I want Kick to do well. More competition's always good in the streaming space, but just in general. So Kick doing well is good for everyone. But this was some real shady shit. I'm pretty sure they just unauthorized rebroadcasted the Super Bowl. My heart breaks for everyone who thought that was okay and started doing that on Kick. Because goddamn. That's about... I feel like that could be a big issue if they catch wind. What are you, a narc? Adin Ross had 110,000 viewers watching the Super Bowl through his stream and spamming racist remarks. You really think the Super Bowl is happy about that? I can tell you they're probably not. He's the Prime Agent in the resub Leo, Pickle, Brulix, Isaac, Scott, and Tier 1 Church. He's gonna get fucking sued out of the ass. That's what I would imagine would happen, because this is a scary organization. The NFL is fucking brutal. They're very litigious from everything I've read over the years. And this is the goddamn Super Bowl. It's not like they just did some like random Sunday night football game, which would be pretty bad too, but this is the Super Bowl. He's a bit snert in the resub void. And no, I haven't speedrun that game before. In the Prime Goku. I think they stopped going after mom and pop diners rebroadcasting. I think they finally let up on that. Didn't they? Maybe they didn't. But I do remember that was an issue for a little minute. Thanks to the Prime Levi. And give sub Napalm. Maybe sub Oblahu and Gabe. What did I think of the halftime show? It wasn't like a spectacle like normal halftime shows. It was just a genuine concert, but I like Rihanna's music, so I enjoyed it, but it didn't have anything like crazy. It was just pretty standard. It was a Smash Bros level. Yeah, I kept seeing that meme as well. Thanks resub Juso, Anguish, and the anonymous gift sub. In tier 1, Orfeo. Yeah, apparently she's pregnant. Thanks to 10 gift subs, Church. Appreciate it, man. And thanks to the Prime J and the resub Jesus and gift sub Phallic and Sock.